guys. Welcome to the DMWBE Diversity Certification Session. This is part one. I'm really excited to provide you all with access to this information. We're going to talk about everything related to disadvantaged minority women business enterprise certification, what it is, how you get it, and best of all, how you leverage it. Before we get started, I want to encourage you to scan these QR codes. One code will give you access to my consultation link if you are interested in getting your certification and you still have some questions. That'll give you access to get on my calendar so that we can have a more candid one-on-one. The other code you can scan to get my course guide. This guide goes hand in hand with this session as well as part two. It basically is your roadmap for certification. So I would really encourage you to go ahead and get a copy of that. All right, so for those of you that don't know me, I am Sheena Thomas. I am the owner of Lingo Strategic Partners, and we help minority women entrepreneurs get their disadvantaged minority women business enterprise certification so that they're able to take that and leverage it and get access to corporate and government contracts. So I've been doing this for over 25 years. I was the first Black woman executive director of the only two regional certification agencies in the state of Texas. So I know something about certification, but most importantly, what the applications need to look like and the information that you should have in them. So those are the tips and the secrets that I intend to share with you in this course, as well as throughout all of my social media channels, YouTube as well. I'll be putting out videos for certain tips and things like that related to certification. So let's get into it. What we can expect, okay? You're going to get two main things out of this part one. The first thing is going to be, of course, identifying the certification as best for your business. So we're going to talk about the different designations, the different contracting entities, the funding that's associated with those procurement contracts, and everything else, the requirements for certification, all of that great stuff. And then we're also going to talk about how to leverage that certification to build your business. That's going to be key. Certification is a piece of paper unless you learn how to leverage it. So let's get into it. What is diversity certification? So it's a leveraging tool for minority and women-owned businesses. It's an investment, and it's also a designation that's based on the business's majority ownership and control. Now, if you are looking to become certified as a disadvantaged business enterprise, which is a DBE, then it's based on the company being socially and economically controlled by a minority or a woman. What it's not is a guarantee that you're going to win a contract. So that's something very important to understand. When you get certified, contracts will not come raining down on your office. It will not happen that way. You won't be included in all of the bid opportunities, and it will not be your sole marketing pitch. So this certification doesn't take the place of you marketing your brand. It doesn't take the place of business development within your business model. It is truly a tool for you to leverage to gain access to contracts that have supplier diversity goals assigned to them. So as we talk about the benefits of certification, yes, you get access to those contracts, to those opportunities to the contracts, but you also get exposure to buyers and decision makers. I tell owners all the time, it's not important for you to know the president and CEO of the company because they are not the ones that are signing the contracts. They are not going to be the ones that are sitting at the table with you talking about your capacity and capability. The individuals that will be doing that are going to be the buyers. Your buyers, your decision makers are normally over a department. So those are the individuals that you want to really start to curate relationships with. It's also going to give you some inclusion in membership directories. So once you get certified with certain agencies, they have a directory. Some of these directories are for public use, like if you're certified as a DBE, the state of Texas and other states under the Unified Certification Program have a huge database of just all of the certified DBEs and ACDBEs. You may be in one of the states that have a database that includes all of the designations for certification. But then there are some agencies that only provide their membership directories to paying customers, which oftentimes are underwriters such as corporations, your big corporations that may be a part of your councils, like your National Minority Supplier Development Council or your Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And then you have some regional certification agencies that also only provide their database for those underwriters of their program. The thing to remember here is that you're in the database. So even if it's not for public view and consumption, those members have access to that database. And those members are oftentimes going to be the buyers and decision makers within those organizations. And that's the key, is to make sure that your business is in front of them. It's going to level the playing field for you, because now with the certification, you will be bidding against, other companies of like size and like service as yours. Most of the time, your large organizations, when they issue supplier diversity goals and they have large prime contractors that bid on those contracts, they require what we call flow down. And so flow down is where that prime is required to flow down a percentage of work to other minority, women-owned, disadvantaged businesses. And so that flow down is in a percentage. Oftentimes it's 15%, 25%, or whatever that contract calls for. And so with that flow down, you now have an opportunity to bid not only on the prime work, but also on the subcontracted work that's going to be included in that flow down opportunity or subcontract opportunity. B2B and B2C opportunities is also a benefit. When you go to a lot of these networkers, you're in rooms with other businesses that are small, minority, women owned. There are opportunities to do business with them. That's why I tell clients all the time, don't not go into a pre-bid meeting, even if it has nothing to do with your business, because you may be providing janitorial services. Well, from what I understand, any company that is in a brick and mortar is going to need some company to come in and provide janitorial services. So that may be an opportunity for you, even if that pre-bid or networker is concerning construction or IT or something like that. So think beyond the scope of just doing business with some of these large corporations and municipalities. Look at the opportunity of now having access to other companies or other businesses that you can now do work with. There may also be consumers in that space that may need your services or may know of someone who needs them. So use those opportunities to network. And then access to resources is really key. So a lot of times the council certification agencies, which are really great about this, provide, supplemental services for you to support the growth of your business. So things like meet the buyer luncheons, other supportive services and courses. A lot of your chambers also provide these courses for business owners. So being certified, especially through those councils, now as a member, you're given access to those resources. So as we think about the different certifications, you can see here on this slide that there are so many designations. And in the US alone, there are about 16 different designations that are used depending on where you're doing business. So most of your local, which would include your city and your county designations, they are going to range broadly. You can have everything from a simple minority women business program, which is an MWBE program. You may have a small business program. You could also have a program that includes designations such as African American business enterprise, Hispanic American business enterprise, LGBT business enterprise. Some of your corporations are now incorporating LGBT as well as disabled individual designations. So it really depends on who the client is and where you're doing business. Your local designations, more times than not, are not transferable. What that means is I can't be certified in Dallas and take that MBE certification from the NCTRCA in Dallas to San Antonio. San Antonio is going to want me to be certified in their area. So again, with the different locales that you're doing business in, there may be some local presence requirements. So the city may issue additional points to you if you have a headquarters in that area or a satellite office, which can oftentimes prompt whether or not you're going to be required to have certification in different areas. State agencies, which is the Comptroller's Office, they provide here in the state of Texas the historically underutilized business designation. And then you have your federal, which is your Department of Transportation. Now, there are two federal programs. And if you have been on Clubhouse at any point at the height of the pandemic and you were sitting in any of those, come get government contract classes, then you heard about federal certification and federal programs. Well, there are two federal programs. The first one I'm going to address is the Department of Transportation. So this program covers Federal Aviation Administration, the Federal Transit Administration, and the Federal Highway Administration. And the designations that are associated with this federal certification program are the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and the Airport Concessionaire Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Okay? So if that is not a tongue tie full of designations, there you go. The DBE is going to be more concentrated towards, construction type services, retail, manufacturing, all the other services really that are not specific to being an airport concessionaire. An airport concessionaire is a company that is located within the terminal of an airport, okay? Airport concessionaires can also be DBE businesses that are providing a service or product to those concessionaires located within the terminal. So if I have, let's say, a duty-free shop inside DFW Airport, and a friend of mine owns a business and I'm getting all of my product from them as far as the chips and sodas. They're a vending machine company. If I'm getting all of my products from them, we have a direct contract. They could in essence be certified as an ACDBE as well, because they have a direct contract with me and they're providing these services or products, and I am an airport concessionaire. So they could also get ACDBE certification. The other federal designations fall up under the Small Business Administration. Now, these designations, aside from the two that are highlighted in yellow here, are all self-certified, meaning there is no vetted process. You simply go to SAM.gov, which is the System for Award Management, and you register your business. You don't send tax returns. You don't send proof of ownership. You basically identify by checking boxes that you are a small business, small disadvantaged business, so on and so forth. Your 8A Small Business Program is a vetted program because it is only for businesses that meet certain criteria, and it's only for 9 years. So once you get in that program, you have 9 years to work it. And if you don't work it in those 9 years, you're out. The Hub Zone is also another vetted program because it's based on the location of the headquarters of the business being in a Hub Zone and 35% of the employees of that business living within a Hub Zone. So there has to be a vetting process that's done there in order for that certification to be granted. And then finally, we're at our council certification. So these are going to align more with your corporations. Most of your councils are going to be minority business enterprise, women business enterprise. You do have a small business enterprise, specifically here in the DFW airport that applies to, the DFW area that applies to the DFW airport in Dallas County. But some additional designations that are also provided by other councils, you have the NGLCC, which provides the LGBT business enterprise. You have the disabled individual business enterprise. You also have NAVOBA that provides the veteran business enterprise and the service disabled veteran business enterprise. So there are other councils and organizations that provide some of these additional designations as well. Again, I will plug this again. If you have not, if you did not get that QR code and get the guide, you'll have a chance at the end of this video to go ahead and scan it and get that guide. But I would strongly encourage you to do that because all of these designations are going to be listed in here, and basically everything I've gone over to this point will be in that guide as a resource for you. So let's talk about our local agencies, okay? And for those of you that may be watching this and you are not in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to give you a list of agencies that are in your specific area. But for my peeps that are here in the DFW area, there are 3 primary agencies that you can receive certification through. The first is the North Central Texas Regional Certification Agency. They provide you with an MWSD and an ACDBE designation. Now, their underwriters are heavy on the municipal side, not so much the corporate side. They have a few corporate members, but the majority of their underwriters are going to be the cities, the counties, your transportation authorities that are in this DFW area. Certification processing time takes up to 90 days for the agency. Anything over that, they have to notify you if they're going over those 90 days. Now, their agent or committee approval, this is important to understand because this also impacts that approval time. The NCTRCA of these three is the only one that does an individual certification specialist approval process. Your councils go through a committee and a board process. The investment for these designations, it depends on one, which council, as you can see here, they do vary. But for the NCTRCA, if you want to get both the M and the WBE certification, the application fee will be $250. It's $150 for one designation and then $100 for the additional designations, okay? The only two designations that the NCTRCA cannot charge you an application fee for are the DBE and the ACDBE certification. Now, as far as your councils are concerned, both of these are very similar, okay? They both provide you with a specific designation. The Minority Supplier Development Council is going to give you an MBE certification. The Women's Business Council Southwest is going to give you a WBE certification. They are very heavy on the corporations for their underwriters. There are some municipalities that are also members of the council. Again, their certifications take up to 90 days. They do have a committee board approval process, and their application fees will range depending on the gross receipts for the company. So the lowest amount is going to be $270 for the DFW MSDC, and then $350 for the Women's Business Council Southwest. Now, along with these two agencies, if you are certified with them, you also receive your hub designation, which is provided through a memorandum of understanding with the State of Texas Comptroller's Office. All right, let's keep it moving. Now, the basic certification requirements. There are so many requirements that go into certification. There are regulations depending on whether or not you're getting a federal or your local designation certification. I'm giving you right here kind of the high level. If you can't meet these requirements, then you need to take a step back and figure out where the gaps are, get those mitigated before you apply for certification. First off, the company has to be 51% owned and controlled by a minority, women, or, as I said before, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. 51%, not 50.1%, okay? If it's multiple owners, then the minorities, women, or socially and economically disadvantaged individual owners must possess 51% collectively, all right? You must be able to prove capital investment. And we'll get into more of this in part 2, but you started the company with something. So what was that capital investment? Was it a cash deposit that you made into the business account? Did you transfer money from your personal account to the business account? Was the capital investment a part of your ownership stock purchase? And do you have proof of that? Did you purchase equipment or did you lease equipment? Do you have proof of that? Did you purchase property or do you own property that the business is utilizing and that is not your home, but this is other commercial property? If so, you will provide proof of that. Sweat equity is also another way that you can provide capital investment. Now, some certifications are getting away from proving up sweat equity because it really is something that you have to quantify as the owner. But I have seen it done successfully in the past. And really with sweat equity, what you do is you look at what you have done to build your brand, not getting business cards, opening up a bank account, creating your website, but the services or products that are provided from the company, looking at how much time you spent in order to perform those tasks, what you would pay someone with your same level of expertise to perform those same tasks, and then you quantify that. I've seen it done successfully with people who were aware that this was a possibility for capital investment. And so they started, taking down that information from the beginning of their business. But an example that I will give you is Let's say I open up my janitorial company, okay? It's just me. I went and I purchased, some equipment from a janitorial supply store. So that of course is going to be my equipment purchase, okay? My equipment investment. I can prove that up. But I also want to prove up that I do have sweat equity in this company. And so by doing so, if I'm the only one working in the business and I have been going to those client locations, cleaning those client locations myself, I'm going to track how much time it's taking me to clean those client locations. What am I doing? So, kind of, jotting down all the things that I'm doing in order to complete that task. And then I'm going to sit back and look at what would I pay someone with my level of experience to do this same job. Okay. And that's how I'm going to quantify my sweat equity. All right, let's move on. Majority owners must also possess technical and managerial competence. This is also very important. You don't have to know everything about the business, but you must be able to answer technical questions when it comes to the operations of your company. And you also must be able to answer to the managerial questions. So you can hire people that may have licenses and experience a little beyond yours, but you must possess the competence to be able to direct the operations of your business. Also, the company must be able to perform independently from another business. That is really key. If your business is dependent on an individual, another company, in order to operate, then you are going to have some independence issues, which could cause your company to be denied. So be very careful about, sharing space, sharing resources, sharing people. As well as who you're doing business with. If you're sharing those things and you're also on a contract with the same company that you're sharing those resources with, I can guarantee you're going to either get an issue of concern or be denied certification. So those are some of the high level basic certification requirements. These are things that if you, as you were listening to me, were like, oh, I have a problem with that, do not apply for certification yet. We need to talk about what that problem is before you submit that application. So let's talk about identifying the right certification. Okay. So I dropped a video about this a little earlier, but identifying the right certification is really going to be key in your process and pathway to getting certified. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at identifying your customer. Depending on your particular customer, they may have a preferred certification or certification agency, especially if they are a part of one of the councils. They may only accept a council certification, either regional or national council certification. So you want to be sure that you understand the requirements of your customer. And you can do this by picking up the phone and calling them. You can go on their website. Most of these companies, organizations have a doing business with us website or interested vendor website that has all this information listed. Follow the money. So I mentioned, how we're going to talk about the funding mechanisms. So following how a particular project is funded can tell you what type of certification you will need as well. I talked a little bit about the disadvantaged business enterprise and how the Federal Department of Transportation aligns with that certification. Well, that's important to know because if it is a federally funded project through the Department of Transportation, they are 9 times out of 10 going to require that there is DBE participation on that project. So that tells you right then and there which certification you need to get. Okay. If you don't quite understand the funding of those projects, contact the buyers or read those solicitation specs. It will tell you what the requirements are. The third thing is a needs assessment. So this is where you take a step back and you look at your business and you figure, Sheena, do I really need to be certified? Does this make sense in my overall business model? Is this something that's going to help me drive business, increase my brand, increase my market value? What value is this really going to bring? I can tell you, I did not get certified until I was asked to get certified because the clients that I do business with don't require me to be certified. And so at the time in my business, it just didn't make sense to have it. I was asked to partner with a particular company on a bid that they were putting in a different state. And they asked me to be certified so I could come onto this project with them. And so I did. Okay. It made sense for me then. Now, since I've gone through the process, I just keep my certification updated. All right. Return on investment is also key. So again, I mentioned how there are application fees that are assessed with virtually every certification except for your DBE and your ACDBE designations. The SBA also doesn't charge for those self designations either. Um, but again, you have to think about, what you're investing to get this certification, be it money, be it time, and how are you going to recoup that investment. So think about, again, that needs assessment. It kind of goes back to that needs assessment. Do you foresee, looking at your business model and your plan, that you're going to be doing business with clients that would allow you to make a return on that investment? Even though it's nominal, as emerging businesses, you must account for everything that you spend and make sure that there is an added benefit to your overall operation. So the application process. Okay. The application process is going to vary as far as timing, depending on the agency and also really depending on you. It really depends on how long it takes you to get these documents together. So when I work with my clients, I've had clients that have taken over a year to get me their information. I have had clients that have been able to get me their information within weeks. It really depends on how organized you are. But this is the process of certification. So you are going to go through first a submission process. This is where you're going to submit your application via an online portal. Almost everybody, I only know of one state that had a paper application. I literally had to print off my client's application and mail it to them. I don't want to call the state because I can't quite remember it, so I don't want to call them out. But virtually everybody now has an online portal. So this process of submission is where you are uploading all of your documents to this portal and you're completing that application. Once you submit it online, it goes through a package intake process. And this is where the agency is performing what we call in certification an initial assessment or initial review. They're just checking to make sure that all the documents are there. They're not reading your documents. They're not, doing an audit per se on your documents. They're just making sure that everything is there so that they can get you to the next phase, which is a desk audit. During the package intake process, if anything is missing, this is when you will receive the request for additional information. The desk audit is where they're actually looking at your application and those documents, and they're matching them up against the regulations that apply for your particular certification. So if it is an MWBE certification, they're looking at their MWBE policies. Sorry, I had to take a sip. If it's a DBE certification, they're going to be looking at the federal 49 CFR Part 26 or Part 23 if it is the ACDBE certification. This is where they're going to also start making determinations on whether or not you can be certified or whether or not you're going to be denied. Before they get to that final decision, though, they're going to perform a site visit. Not everyone performs a site visit, but more of them do than they don't. The site visit is where they're going to come out and conduct an on-site visit of your office or work site, or even both, okay? They're going to ask you the same questions that are included in your application. They're going to ask to see proof of, contracts. They're going to ask to see proof of equipment, all of that great stuff. They may even interview some of your staff. And so from that site visit and your desk audit, they will make the certification decision to either certify you or deny you, okay? That is basically the process. So before you apply, the question is, do you have your stuff in order? So these are 4 things that I would tell you to definitely make sure that you have in order aside from just your paperwork. But one is, what is your NAICS code? And we're going to get into what that NAICS code is in just a minute. Are you registered to do business in this state? So if you are one of those individuals that decided to go to Nevada or Delaware or wherever else because it was cheaper to do your incorporation there than here in the state of Texas, if you're in the state of Texas, you're going to be required to have a certificate of authority. They're going to ask for that. Okay. I think at the time of taping this video, it's $750. So think about that if you have not already incorporated or organized your business, that if you do it outside of the state, most of these agencies are going to ask for you to get a certificate of authority to do business within the state that you want to get certified in. Does your company have a DUNS number? Now, for the SBA, you will need a DUNS number, so it's important for you to get that, not so much for a DBE or even your MWBE designations. And then, of course, you're going to need to have your federal EIN or your tax ID number. Okay. You cannot use your social security number. If you're out here doing business with a social security number, you need to stop immediately. Okay. Because you are putting yourself at so much risk. So you need to make sure that you go to the irs.gov and get you your federal EIN or tax ID number. Okay. It's free to go online and get your tax ID number, but you must have that. That should be on all of your documents, like your bank signature card. It should be on your tax returns, all of that good stuff. Okay. So let's take a minute and talk about a NAICS code. So this is the North American Industry Classification System. This is the most commonly used classification code system across all of the certification agencies. You have others such as the NIGP code, and you also have the US USIP codes. But this NAICS code is most commonly used, okay? And so what I've given you here are some screenshots of what the website looks like. So when you go to census.gov/NAICS, which you can see the website right there, you'll have three different search bars that you can put a number into. Now, you can enter a keyword or a number. I put a number in because I'm familiar with these NAICS codes. You want to make sure that you use that top bar there because that is the most updated or current set of NAICS codes, okay? But they give you a cross-reference for 2017 and 2012, which are older classification systems. So let's just say you know the first four numbers of your NAICS code. I put in 5416. That's going to pull up for me management, scientific, and technical consulting services. This is like the broad code for everything consulting. And let's say that I'm looking for my particular NAICS code for my business, and I can see 541611, Administrative Management and General Management Consulting Services. Honestly, everything is going to fall there or in other management consulting services if you provide a service that is not specifically called out, such as human resources or marketing consulting, as an example. So I click on 541611 and it brings up administrative management and general management services. Now, the really cool thing about this system is that you receive not only a definition, but you also get examples. So you can kind of play around and see if this really is the code that fits you, as well as cross references. So the cross references also give you some additional ideas, such as that first one, like establishments primarily engaged in providing a range of day-to-day office administrative services. They may be classified in 561110, which is office administration services. So it does help direct you to the correct NAICS code for your particular services. And this NAICS code should be on your tax returns as well. And then under this cross-reference, you can see here they give you the side-by-side glance. Now, these codes have stayed the same over the last 3 iterations of this coding system, but there are some codes that have changed. And so it will show you what those corresponding index entries look like. So that is the NAICS code system. So how do you really work this certification or leverage this certification? So there are 2 main things that you can really be doing. One is letting everyone know that you are certified. You can do this by putting your certification designations on website and marketing material. Never put your certification number on any printed material. Don't put it on your website because one, your certification number is going to change each time that you are renewed or go through a complete recertification process, which normally happen either annually, every 2 years, or every 3 years. And you also want to keep the certification number confidential like you would your social security number because it can be used by prime contractors who are required to do what we call good faith efforts. And this is where they actively solicit you to do business with them as a subcontractor. Well, sometimes if they can get access to your certification number, some organizations who may not have very strong compliance programs will accept that it's proof that they contacted you and they really didn't. So never put your certification number out there. The other thing you can do is complete the vendor profiles for prospective clients. Clients are not going to know that you are ready, willing, and able to do business with them unless you've registered. So that's why it's important to go to each of your prospective client websites and register as an interested business. Generally, it's a form you fill out, you tell them who you are, basic contact information. You'll also provide them with your certification information, who you're certified by, the designation, when it expires. They will not ask you for your certification number. They probably will ask you to upload a copy of your certificate, and that's fine. Okay. But you need to register with them. Once you register with them, this is when you now contact them, because now you can say, hey, City of Dallas, I just registered with you all. This is, what I provide. Is there someone I can talk to? Maybe you have the name of a particular buyer and you contact them directly. Maybe you send them your pitch deck. Make sure it's no more than 3 to 5 slides, but you send them a quick pitch deck or your capability statement. But you do that once you have registered, because they're going to check their database to see if you're in there. And if you're not in there, they ain't talking to you. Network is also important. So attend and meet the buyer sessions and develop relationships. This is key. Everything is done with relationships. You have to realize that there are incumbents that have been doing business with these organizations for years, and they have developed some very strong and deep relationships. They're so deep that other segments of the business, other offices will call and ask them to do business without even putting it out for bid. So it's important that you start developing relationships. Learn also from the buyers, what are some of their pain points? What are some areas that they're not able to meet some of their diversity goals in? There may be an opportunity for you to pivot to provide that service. Go to the virtual and in-person How to Do Business networkers. This is also key. Most of the How to Do Business networkers are held a lot on the municipal side. So your cities and your counties, they hold these types of sessions. But it also helps you understand how to do business with those particular agencies, because it's not going to be the same. I tell clients all the time that going to the city of Dallas and going to the city of Fort Worth are going to be different processes in order to do business with them. You need to learn what the nuances are, because one thing that buyers really get frustrated with is you don't do your homework. And so you're calling them to ask them all these questions, and you haven't even taken the time out to go to the website, to read the FAQs, to follow the instructions on how to register and how to notify them. So make sure that you do that, okay? So that you can learn how to best do business with them. And then contact the clients and ask about opportunities. If they don't have their bid opportunities listed on their website, send them an email. If you don't have a particular buyer's information, reach out to that supplier diversity professional. That's their job. They are supposed to be the liaison between you and the organization. So reach out to that SBLO or that MWBE supplier diversity manager and let them know that you are registered and you're interested in opportunities, and these are the areas in which you work. Okay. So those are some ways that you can start networking your certification. I hope that this has been helpful for you all. If it has, please let me know. If there's something else that you want to know about certification, please drop it in the comments. Shoot me a quick email and let me know, because I really want to curate these quick courses to you so that you can understand best how to go through this process of certification. Again, feel free to scan the code for the course guide. I would strongly suggest you do that, because basically everything that I talked about today is in this course guide. And also scan for a free consult if you have some additional questions that you'd like to ask me.